Hey, in this one I'm gonna present the Immich image viewer thingy service. Anyway, it's like a web page, and there is all your pictures on there, and you can upload stuff, and it has a smart search and other cool features like so. So it's also very easy to use. That's one of the main benefits. And it's also, yeah, private. So instead of using Google Pictures or and whatnot and get spied on, and all your the faces of your children and loved ones end up on some billionaire's computer, you have that at your place and you're happy and private. Anyway, to install it, you just go on the Immich website and you go into the Docker Compose installation. I mean, you could like not use Docker, and like I'm sure you can probably install the binaries yourself and stuff like that. But why? Docker is pretty nice for those kinds of things, like services that you put on your home server. So just use that. You're gonna need to download a few files. So this is, for example, the Docker Compose. There is also an env file, so basically you just copy all of this in some directory that you created if you want to test. There is some hardware transcoding for the video that I will explain later that you might want as well. And then there is some small AI capabilities as well, which I might as well demonstrate. And so yeah, that's basically it for the setup. Then you of course install Docker and Docker Compose, but I'm sure you can figure that out on your own. And then you just do Docker Compose up D, and you start the Docker daemon. So yeah, I started the Docker daemon, and now if I do Docker Compose up, it pulls all the stuff, and all my things are running. And by default, now you can go in your browser and you can go on localhost port 2283. And you have welcome to Immich. Maybe I can zoom a little bit. And you type getting started, and then you can specify your email, so something like that. And the admin's password is going to be admin for this demonstration. Don't judge me. And my name is going to be Charles. Next, I can log in with my thing. And the admin password. As you can see, it also checks for version by itself, which is pretty nice. And there is the whole setup thing. So it has dark theme, which is by default pretty nice. Sure, this. Then privacy, so there is some like some version check to check that your instance is up to date, or some map things that might be risky privacy-wise, and you can actually toggle it on or off, although it's probably not too bad. So I will leave them on. Storage template, it's a bit too complex, so let's leave it out, and that's the basic interface. So you can see that there is photos, explore, maps, and all other stuff. So now I will upload some files to it. And so if I go in, let me show you. So here are some files that I prepared for this video. You can just select all of them, open, and you see that it uploads all of them. And then if you refresh the page, go away new version, you can see that all your images are already there. And you can view them and stuff like this. And it's all yeah, pretty nice. You can yeah, I should mention that one of the image I uploaded was a raw picture. So if you don't know, like you can set up your camera to shoot in raw. It's like a non-compressed format for images that allows you to, I don't know, do better stuff in post-processing of the picture, whatever. It handles that by default. Like it will generate a preview image for that and so on. And you can see it generated thumbnails and so on, all by default. By default, the thumbnail size is a bit weak, so it looks very low quality, but you can actually change that into the administration tab. If you go into settings and then image setting and then thumbnail settings, you can change the resolution to be like something greater and the quality to be something greater if you want. I find that changing the resolution is often enough. And then if you go in jobs and somewhere thumbnail, you can regenerate all of them, I think. And then it will just regenerate the thumbnail as you would like it. While I'm in the settings, I can quickly show you around. So they support OAuth. So if you want to log in with like, I don't know, some services like Google, for example, although that defeats a bit the purpose, you can do that. They have some kind of a backup thing. I think it just backs up in a different directory, if I'm not mistaken. You can change the preview settings. So the preview is when you actually click on the image and see it fully. So there you can set like actually a big resolution and more quality on the image. Those options are more for the raw images. No, this one's for the raw images. Don't really know what they do, just leave them by default. Job settings here, you can change like the number of workers for each of your jobs. So if you have a more powerful server or a less powerful one, you can change that here. You can have some, you can have image parse more metadata, I think, in some files somewhere. You can disable the machine learning if you want. You can disable the map thing, the map feature. You can also have email notifications, but then you have to connect to like some SMTP server or whatever. And there is a bunch of other of other options that I won't detail here. Maybe what I can show now, because it's probably done. Oh, it hasn't. Maybe there isn't enough pictures for that. But there is a smart search thing. So if I say mountain, it should be able to give me like the top one are the most likely to be a mountain. So it's not extremely accurate, but I find it's actually better than I forgot photo prism is the other kind of thing. So here the smart search feature is actually kind of nice. If I say castle, it will have those in priority and so on. It's not that bad. And of course it has like face detection, although I wasn't able to showcase it because I don't have enough faces. And so if I would type my name here, it would I would show up as first. Although here it did not manage to recognize my face, I don't think. Like if I go in info, people, like yeah. Okay, so no, I do exist. Is it just that I need to refresh this? Go away. Okay, no. Okay, well, I'm assuming you need a certain minimum amount of picture to get the faces, but you would get those here and you could add a name to them and like a birth date or whatever. What you can also do is select a bunch of them and then bulk edit them or like bulk edit the metadata. So for example, you can just change the location and pick wherever they were taken. I don't know. I don't think it was there. Whatever. You can just have it like so, and then in the map they will show up, and it's basically what you would expect. It shows all the pictures that you have at that location. There is also you can again take a bunch of pictures, and then you can add them to an album. So let's say Foo, new album Foo, whatever, and then you have your album and so on. And that you can actually, well, you can have a slideshow and whatever, or add other pictures, but you can actually share it. So you can create a description. You can have you can require a password for it. So if you have your instance available to the public internet, you can like well, you still nobody is able to enter it because they don't have an account, but you can maybe share it with some random person, like some very specific pictures that you selected, and you add a password to it so that only that person can view them. You can allow another user, like some random dude that you gave the password to, that you went on one trip and you don't know him that well. You can allow him to upload his own picture in the album, which could be fun. You can set an expiry date and all that kind of stuff. So if I say whatever, some random password and create a link, you can see that now I have a link, and if I go to that link, I have to type the password, and all of a sudden I have access to the album, and so on and so on. What else is there? There's the facial recognition and so on. You can also, yeah, if you're the admin, you can create other other accounts. So I think administration. So you can just create user and say foo at bar.com, this, and then foo, whatever. You can have a quota. So let's say, oh, well, I kind of whatever. You can have a quota, like a maximum amount of gigs they're allowed to use on your server and stuff like this, which is kind of nice. And then you can create them. Let's say foo.com, this, foo, and then no quota, create. So now there is an account here. And what you can do is this user will be able to log in your instance, but they won't be able to see your pictures by default. So what you would do is you would go into administration, I think, or maybe here administration settings or something like this. And then you would need to user settings, maybe? Huh. I forgot, but there is an option somewhere where you can allow some user to share your pictures, to see your picture, and some other user to not see them. Partner sharing, that's it. And so you can add a partner and pick that guy and say add. And now this foo account will be able to see all my pictures. And if I didn't do that, he couldn't see anything. And yeah, maybe a small point on hardware transcoding. So by default, I don't have any videos on this example, but by default, the transcoding of videos, so like transcoding is just resizing the video as you play it to fit in your browser or whatever. And if you, by default, it will use the CPU, which is quite expensive, so you don't want that. But there is Intel QuickSync, which comes with almost all Intel CPUs, which makes this extremely fast, and it doesn't consume any CPU almost whatsoever. So that's why we downloaded as well the hardware axel.transcoding.yaml, and then if you go into your Docker Compose, you can simply uncomment those 3 lines, so extends this file. And then here, service CPU is the expensive thing I talked about, but you can change it to QuickSync. And all of a sudden, like the specific hardware will be triggered when transcoding a video, and that will make just your CPU not die whenever somebody watches a video on it. Of course, it supports like the stuff from NVIDIA. I think that's ARM. So if you host this on a Raspberry Pi, you can also use this. And this, I think, is maybe the AMD graphics card and stuff like this. So they support a wide variety of hardware as well. What else in the configuration can I talk about? I think there is also a stuff for accelerating machine learning. So here as well, hardwareaccel.ml.yaml that you can download. And by default, again, is the CPU, so it's rather slow. But you have some ARM stuff for the Raspberry Pi or whatever, but the most interesting one might be CUDA. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, this will be quite nice. It will make the inference very fast. Yeah, that's about it. In the end file that they made you download, you should probably modify the database password, although it's probably not exposed, but it's all probably good practice. Yeah, besides that, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to quickly show you this application because it's quite nice. And PhotoPrism is the other one that I tried, but it's great, but it's not as polished as this one, I find. This Immich has also a well-made mobile application where it automatically backs up the pictures on your phone to your instance. And for that photo prism, you had to install some third-party things, and it's a bit sketchy and so on, or you have to pay. And yeah, for all of that, Immich is just slightly better, basically. It also has a cool CLI. Immich Go, if I yes, I remember correctly. And yeah, you can just use that to, like, if you want to upload some pictures that are some directory and you don't want to use the GUI, you can just have some CLI tool, and as you can see, it's quite nice. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you will be able to host your photos, pictures privately, and yeah, see you in the next one.